Any router supports static one-to-one NAT. Let's take a look at what static one-to-one NAT is and how inbound and outbound interface traffic diversion works. Static one-to-one NAT converts each private IP address to a single public IP address. The public and private port numbers remain unchanged during NAT conversion. Upon receipt of user packets, a NAT device does not directly perform NAT for the packets. Instead, the device filters the packets according to the specified ACL rule and forwards only the packets that match the ACL rule to a NAT service board for processing. This implementation is called NAT traffic diversion. NAT traffic diversion is performed in either inbound interface or outbound interface mode. In inbound interface traffic diversion, a traffic diversion policy is applied to a specified inbound interface. The inbound interface matches 5 tuple information against an ACL rule and a traffic policy. If a match is found, traffic is processed by NAT. If no match is found, the traffic is forwarded to a next hop. In outbound interface traffic diversion, upon receipt of user packets on the private network, an inbound interface board searches the fib table for a matching outbound interface and forwards the packets to this board. The outbound interface board matches the packets against an ACL rule. If a match is found, traffic is processed by NAT. If no match is found, traffic is forwarded to a next hop through the outbound interface. During outbound interface traffic diversion, the device filters packets, forwards packets destined for the internal network to a next hop, and diverts packets destined for the Internet to a NAT service board for processing. In enterprise network scenarios, internal communication traffic is heavy and does not need to be converted using NAT. NAT is performed only for the traffic that accesses the Internet. Therefore, the outbound interface traffic diversion solution is used. Next, let's look at the networking of static one-to-one NAT. A PC assigned an IP address of 192.168.0.2 and a mask length of 24 on a company's internal network needs to access the Internet through the NAT-enabled NE router named NAT device. Interface 1 of the router is connected to the Internet, and Interface 2 of the router is connected to the Internet. The company is assigned 5 public IP addresses, 11.1.1.101 through 11.1.1.105, and the mask length is 32. You need to configure the router to convert the private IP address, 192.168.0.2/24, into the public IP address 1.1.1.3/24 for the PC to access the Internet. Before configuring the device, let's go through the configuration roadmap. Step 1. Configure basic NAT functions. The configuration includes the following substeps. 1. Create a NAT instance and configure a NAT address pool. 2. Configure an internal server. That is, configure static one-to-one NAT to map the PC's private IP address, 192.168.0.2, to a public IP address, 1.1.1.3. Step 3. Configure a NAT traffic diversion policy. Configure an ACL traffic classification rule and apply the NAT traffic conversion policy to an outbound interface of the device to implement outbound interface traffic diversion. Step 4. Configure a static route and specify a next hop for the public IP address so that the PC can access the Internet. Now let's look at how to configure the device. Step 1. Create a NAT instance named NAT1. A NAT instance is a service configuration unit that is used to bind a service to both a NAT service board and an address pool, and to configure NAT attributes. A NAT instance has a unique ID. Step 2. Configure a NAT address pool. The NAT address pool is used to manage NAT address resources. Configure an internal NAT server. That is, configure static one-to-one NAT to map the PC's private IP address, 192.168.0.2/24 to a public IP address, 1.1.1.3/24. Create ACL 3001 and access the ACL view. Create an ACL rule numbered 1 in the ACL view. Only user packets on the network segment 192.168.0.0/24 can be processed by NAT and access the Internet. Then apply the ACL rule to the outbound interface so that hosts, including the one at 192.168.0.2/24 on the network segment, can access the Internet. The last step is to configure a static route as a default route.